Hello, everyone. I am Mr. Dishwasher. In the previous episode, we mentioned that after Luffy defeated Arlong, his bounty reached 30 million. Everyone passed through Logtown and followed the reverse mountain sea current to enter the Grand Line. Let me introduce the world structure of One Piece. This world is full of oceans and is divided into 4 seas by the perpendicular Grand Line and the Red Line. These seas are the East Blue, West Blue, South Blue, and North Blue. The Grand Line and the Red Line intersect at 2 points. The first is Reverse Mountain, and the second is Mariajoa. When passing through Reverse Mountain, one enters the Grand Line, and when passing through Mariajoa, one enters the more dangerous New World. Finally, Luffy's goal is to reach the end of the Grand Line, Laugh Tale, where the Red Line can also be seen. This means that the third time a person sees the Red Line, they will stand at the pinnacle of pirates, the Pirate King. Returning to the Straw Hat crew, they encountered their first challenge upon entering the Grand Line. They were unexpectedly swallowed by the whale Laboon, where they found a whole new world inside, including a doctor named Crocus. Crocus was once the ship doctor on Gold Roger's ship. After the disbandment of the Roger pirates, Crocus returned to Twin Cape to accompany the whale Laboon. Laboon also has a touching story. 50 years ago, the young Laboon became a companion of the Rumbar pirates. Due to the dangers of the Grand Line, the pirates left Laboon at Twin Cape, promising to meet again after circumnavigating the world. Laboon then began the long wait. But the waiting time lasted 50 years. Finally, Laboon started relentlessly hitting the Red Line. It wanted to go to another sea area to find its companions. Despite being heavily injured, Laboon never gave up and continued to hit the Red Line repeatedly. Returning to the present, upon learning the story, Luffy suddenly started attacking Laboon. They had a fierce battle, and at the last moment, Luffy called off the duel. Luffy stated that the result of the match was a tie, and they would have a rematch after he completes his journey around the world. At this moment, Laboon accepted Luffy's agreement, and it had a new object to wait for. Finally, Luffy drew the Straw Hat flag on Laboon's head to prevent it from self-harm. Then, the Straw Hat crew continued their journey amidst Laboon's farewell. Meanwhile, Luffy also encountered Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday. They hitched a ride on Luffy's ship and headed to Whiskey Peak. After some twists and turns, the group arrived at Whiskey Peak and received a warm welcome. Under the hospitality, everyone was full and fell asleep. However, this was all a trap set by the criminal organization Baroque Works. The people here were all bounty hunters, and their target was Luffy with a bounty of 30 million. Fortunately, Zoro remained sober and single-handedly fought against 100 bounty hunters and easily won. Then, Baroque Works' Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day suddenly appeared. They were here to capture Miss Wednesday, who was revealed to be a spy infiltrating Baroque Works. She was originally Princess Vivi of Alabasta Kingdom. Mr. 5 was a user of the Bomb fruit, inheriting the abilities of the Deidara. Miss Valentine's Day had the Float fruit ability. Both of them were much stronger than the bounty hunters, and Vivi immediately found herself in a desperate situation. At the critical moment, Luffy and Zoro stepped in and rescued Vivi. They each easily defeated Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine's Day. Luffy even misunderstood Zoro and challenged him to a duel. The clash between swordsmanship and martial arts was evenly matched. They were awakened by Nami's Iron Fist, which dispelled the misunderstanding between the two sides. Later, everyone learned about the reason for the events from Vivi. It turned out that the Baroque Works plot was to seize control of the Alabasta Kingdom. The mastermind behind it was Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. To achieve his goal, he even instigated a civil war within the kingdom. Subsequently, Luffy decided to escort Vivi back to her country and expose Crocodile's conspiracy. On the way, they encountered Baroque Works' partner, Robin, but she left on a turtle before any substantial conversation. After some time, the Straw Hat crew arrived at Little Garden, the second island. There, they met 2 battling giants, Bragi and Dory, who had been fighting for centuries without a winner. These warriors were the captains of the giant warrior pirates. Meanwhile, Mr. 3, accompanied by Miss Golden Week, Mr. 5, and Miss Valentine, arrived on the island. Utilizing his manipulative tactics and explosive substances, Mr. 3 inflicted severe injuries upon both giants. He seized the opportunity to capture Zoro, Nami, and Vivi, intending to turn them into candles. In response, Zoro even contemplated to cut off his legs, to engage in a life-or-death struggle against Mr. 3. Just as the situation became dire, Luffy, Usopp, and Karoo arrived at the scene. Usopp successfully rescued Zoro and the others, while Luffy defeated Mr. 3 and his crew. At the same time, Sanji infiltrated Mr. 3's base, disguising his voice to communicate with Crocodile. He lied about Luffy and Vivi's deaths, preventing further assassination attempts. With that, the crisis on Little Garden came to an end, and the two giants reconciled, escorting the Straw Hat crew on their new journey. Some time later, Nami fell seriously ill at sea, prompting everyone to search for a doctor. During their search, they encountered Wapol, a user of the Munch Munch fruit ability. He attempted to attack Luffy but was defeated instead. Afterward, the crew arrived at Drum Island, where Luffy and Sanji carried Nami to find the witch doctor, Kureha. The island had recently suffered a devastating attack from the Blackbeard pirates, and the king, who was previously Wapol, had returned to reclaim his rule. Even the hero Dalton, who possessed the Ox fruit, fell to Wapol's hands. On the other hand, Luffy and Sanji faced numerous challenges and finally reached the witch's castle. With Kureha's help, Nami recovered, and they also met the reindeer doctor, Chopper. Chopper had been abandoned by his parents due to his blue nose and was ostracized by both humans and reindeer after eating the human fruit. This caused significant emotional trauma for Chopper, who longed for companionship. Fortunately, the quack doctor Hilialik took care of him and gave him the name, Tony Chopper. The two formed a deep bond. Although Hilialik lacked expertise in treating human ailments, he aspired to cure the country's afflictions, as its legitimate doctors had been captured and killed by Wapol. Hilialik told Chopper about a person who was terminally ill but was cured by the sight of blooming sakura flowers. Inspired by this, he hoped that the sakura flowers would bloom in the frozen land to heal the entire nation. At the same time, Hilialik also wished for Chopper to become a free pirate and explore the world with the best companions and the most beautiful sceneries. However, Hilialik was terminally ill and wanted to die alone, so he chased Chopper away. Despite being chased away, Chopper didn't leave Hilialik. He had heard about a miraculous cure-all mushroom called the Amyudake. So, he ventured through the snow and snatched it from the reindeer herd, even losing one of his legs in the process.
Doctor, ごめんね。
お前、どうしたんだ？
キノコ。薬、生きてよ。生きてよ、ドクター。医者になりたいんだよ。医者のやり方を教えてくれよ。トナガイにもなれるかな。
なれるさ、なれる。お前はこんなに優しいじゃねえか。バカ野郎。
Afterward, Hilialik fearlessly consumed the mushroom soup and entrusted his research findings to the witch, requesting her to train Chopper as a doctor. However, they later discovered that the Amyudake mushroom was not a cure-all but a highly poisonous one. Despite this truth, the quack doctor ingested it so as not to disappoint Chopper. This revelation remained hidden until the witch disclosed it to Chopper, leaving him devastated and unwilling to accept it. Later, Hilialik stood at the castle gate of Wapol and proclaimed that Wapol couldn't kill him because people only truly die when they are forgotten. He raised his cup to the sky, saying,
まったくいい人生だった。
In the end, Wapol unleashed a barrage of gunfire, engulfing the quack doctor in flames. On the other hand, Chopper resolved to study the panacea and learn medicine under the witch's guidance. Now, in the present, Wapol arrived at the witch's castle gate, once the palace where he ruled the entire country. His intention was to destroy the pirate flag on the rooftop and launch an immediate attack. However, after a single shot, Luffy held up the pirate flag, standing firm, as it represented a pledge of life. Chopper was moved by Luffy's spirit and recalled the quack doctor's expectations for him. Consequently, Luffy and Chopper launched a counterattack against Wapol, and after a fierce battle, they sent him flying once again, putting an end to the turmoil on Drum Island. Afterward, Luffy repeatedly invited Chopper to join the Straw Hat Pirates. Finally, Chopper, moved by Luffy's determination, decided to become their companion. That night, Chopper pulled Luffy and the others in a sled and left the castle. Using Heliolix's research findings, the witch made cherry blossoms bloom all over the country, thoroughly healing the nation's spirit.
俺は決してお前を撃たねえ。俺の名はドクターヒルルク。医者だ。チョッパー、お前はいい医者になれる。俺が保証する。全くいい人生だった。ありがとうよ、チョッパー。
さあ、言っといて、バカ息子。
And so, the Straw Hat Pirates gained their sixth member, the ship's Dr. Chopper. Later, they encountered Bon Clay, the Okama dancer, at sea. Bon Clay possessed the power of the clone fruit, allowing him to transform into anyone he touched. His comical personality quickly endeared him to the Straw Hat Pirates. After Bon Clay departed, Vivi recalled that he was Mr.2 from Baroque Works. To prevent being impersonated by him, everyone made distinguishing marks on their arms. Subsequently, the crew arrived in Alabasta, where a war had erupted. It turned out that the Baroque Works, led by Crocodile, had initiated the Ideal Country operation. Apart from the capital, Alabasta, the entire country had been without rain for 3 years. The Baroque Works intentionally manipulated the situation, leading the citizens to believe that the drought was caused by the king secretly using rain-making powder. This triggered rebellion and ignited the flames of war. As the leader of the rebels was Vivi's childhood friend, Koza, the crew decided to go to Yuba to stop the actions of the rebels. On their way, Luffy encountered his sworn brother, Ace, who possessed the ability of the Flame fruit. Ace was also the 2nd Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates, one of the 4 emperors of the Grand Line. Ace had come to hunt down their former crewmate, Blackbeard, who ruthlessly killed the 4th Division commander of the Whitebeard Pirates and stole the dark fruit. Ace also helped Luffy evade the pursuit of Marine Officer Smoker and entrusted his Vivre card to Luffy before leaving. After Ace's departure, the crew finally arrived in Yuba, the rebels' stronghold. However, the place was already deserted, with only Koza's father remaining. The Straw Hat Pirates then decided to change their plan and head directly to Rain Base to defeat Crocodile. On the other side, Crocodile had already gathered all of his subordinates and decided to take action, feeding the ineffective Mr. 3 to a crocodile. After some time, everyone finally arrived in Rain Base and encountered Smoker. During the battle between the two sides, they fell into Crocodile's trap and were locked in a cage made of sea stone, a substance that can nullify the abilities of devil fruit users and is extremely durable. Fortunately, Sanji was not captured and rescued Luffy, Smoker, and Mr. 3. In return, Smoker gave up pursuing the Straw Hat Pirates. Meanwhile, Mr. 2 Bon Clay transformed into the appearance of the king and mocked all the citizens, ordering the troops to shoot at the rebel leader, Koza. As a result, Koza finally made up his mind to launch an armed uprising and attack the capital of Alabasta. Therefore, Alabasta was on the verge of a nationwide civil war. Back with the Straw Hat Pirates, Luffy and the others began to move toward the capital. On the way, Crocodile suddenly appeared and tried to capture Vivi. In response, Luffy asked everyone to go ahead while he stayed behind to hold the rear guard. Crocodile is a Logia-type devil fruit user, which grants him the power of sand. Currently, Luffy has not yet unlocked the advanced form of Haki. Facing Crocodile, who can freely change his body shape, Luffy was almost defenseless and nearly lost his life. The difference in strength between the two was enormous. Crocodile could only feel pain when Luffy's bloodied arm grasped him. Afterward, Crocodile left with a lack of interest, and Robin secretly saved Luffy, ensuring his survival. On the other side, the rest of the Straw Hat Pirates, along with Vivi, arrived at the capital, where fierce battles were already underway. They quickly took action, engaging in individual battles with Baroque Works members. Usopp and Chopper teamed up to defeat Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas. Usopp showed great courage, enduring severe injuries while persevering in the fight. Sanji fought against Mr. 2 Bon Clay. Both skilled in hand-to-hand combat, they were evenly matched. Ultimately, Sanji managed to secure a hard-fought victory against his opponent with a move called the Mini Cracker. However, after the battle, they developed a mutual respect, and Bon Clay was deeply moved. At the same time, Nami battled Miss Doublefinger. During the fight, Nami grasped the full potential of the Climate Act and used its weather control abilities to defeat her opponent. Zoro faced Mr. One, a user of the Super fruit, which allows him to transform his entire body into steel and blades. Zoro's attacks had no effect on him, and Mr. One dominated the fight, inflicting heavy injuries on Zoro. Despite the terrifying power of Mr. One, he didn't give up. Zoro recalled his master's teachings about cutting steel and even thought of Hawkeye's image. At that moment, he seemed to sense the essence of all living things.
いいんだ。もう受けねえ。一刀流居合。疾走損。
アトミックスパート。
礼を言う。
In the end, Zoro comprehended the power to cut through steel and defeated Mr. One with the Lion Song. On Vivi's side, she faced Crocodile in the royal palace, who then revealed his true plan. Crocodile intended to find one of the 3 ancient weapons, Pluton, in order to rule the world. According to the legend, the poneglyphs of Alabasta contain information about Pluton. Meanwhile, Crocodile hid an enormous bomb in the city, and he secretly arranged for his subordinates to shoot Koza, which led to the ongoing battles between the royal army and the rebel army, making it impossible to cease the conflict. At the critical moment, Luffy arrived in time and engaged in a last-ditch battle. Earlier, Luffy had received help from Koza's father and obtained the only remaining water source. He also developed various ways to utilize his rubber fruit powers, greatly enhancing his strength. By relying on the water's ability to restrain sand, Luffy finally managed to counteract Crocodile. For a time, he even seemed on par with Crocodile, but when Crocodile further utilized his devil fruit power, he absorbed moisture from the ground, turning the entire area into a desert. Luffy couldn't escape and was drained of his water once again by Crocodile. Afterward, Crocodile refrained from delivering the final blow. Subsequently, Crocodile, holding the king hostage and Robin, arrived at the location of the poneglyph, an ancient stone tablet containing historical information. Robin is currently the only person who can decipher the poneglyph. However, when she read the tablet, she didn't find any mention of Pluton. Crocodile believed that Robin had deceived him and struck her. On the other side, the remaining members of the Straw Hat Pirates discovered the bomb atop the bell tower. Despite their efforts, they couldn't prevent the nuclear bomb from exploding. However, the kingdom's guardian, Bell, ascended into the sky with the bomb and vanished in a dazzling burst of light. Simultaneously, the 3 water streams that Luffy had spat out earlier descended, rejuvenating him, allowing him to recover from exhaustion and rise again with sheer determination. Luffy confronted Crocodile for the 3rd time near the poneglyph. Both were resolute in fighting to the death, and Luffy no longer had access to water to weaken his opponent. Nevertheless, Luffy's bloodied fist proved to be equally effective in dealing damage. Despite Crocodile's use of poison, the persistent pirate showed incredible strength and unwavering resolve. Their intense battle pushed both combatants to their limits, and Luffy expressed his determination to surpass Crocodile.
お前がどこの誰だろうと、俺はお前を超えていく。ゴムゴムの
ラスバーダ。
In the end, Luffy emerged victorious against Crocodile, and the rain began to fall, prompting the royal army and the rebel army to stop their fighting. Vivi's call reached everyone, and Alabasta finally experienced the long-awaited peace in the rain. Following the battle, the Marines apprehended Crocodile, and he lost his position as a warlord of the sea. Additionally, Zoro's bounty increased to 60 million berries, while Luffy's reached 100 million berries. After resting at the palace, the Straw Hat Pirates discreetly left the kingdom at night to evade capture by the Marines. They informed Vivi that they would rendezvous at the eastern harbor the following day, giving her one last opportunity to join them. On their journey, the crew encountered Mr.2 Bon Clay at sea. Bon Clay still considered Luffy a comrade and continued to protect the Going Merry. The crew then set sail aboard the Going Merry, preparing to meet up with Vivi at the eastern harbor. At daybreak, Hina, leading the Marines, suddenly appeared, intending to capture Luffy. In order to buy time for the Straw Hat Pirates, Mr. Bon Clay willingly assumed Luffy's appearance, diverting Hina and the Marines' attention.
散らばもろとも誠の空に咲かせてみせよ大釜ウェイ散らばみなもに糸めでたけれ友の花
With Bon Clay's assistance, the Straw Hat Pirates evaded the Marine ambush. However, Mr. Bon Clay himself was captured. Meanwhile, Vivi escaped from the kingdom's address and reached the eastern harbor. Vivi decided to remain in her beloved kingdom, bidding farewell to Luffy through a nationwide broadcast.
聞いたか？あの王女麦わらの一味とつながりが。王女が海賊の仲間？まさか。
いつまでもなこのまま黙って別れましょう。これから何が起こっても左腕のこれが仲間の印だ。
The Alabasta story concludes here, marking the first major saga of One Piece. Luffy not only gained a ship doctor, Chopper, but also made acquaintances with Robin and Vivi, among others. Alabasta was the Straw Hat Pirates' true beginning in the Grand Line's adventures and their first encounter with a warlord of the sea, Crocodile. The sense of oppression and despair brought by Crocodile was overwhelming, making it difficult to imagine how the Straw Hat Pirates could overcome such a formidable opponent. Nevertheless, they showed growth and improvement during this journey, experiencing their first exposure to the poneglyphs and the ancient weapons. Many significant elements and settings of One Piece were introduced during this arc, revealing only the tip of the iceberg. The Alabasta saga acted as a prelude to the climax, marking the official start of the Straw Hat Pirates' journey towards becoming legendary figures in the One Piece world. Thanks to the character development, emotional depth, and vast world building, One Piece stands out as a unique and extraordinary adventure. As we anticipate more touching stories in the future, we will continue the journey in the next installment. Thank you all. Goodbye.